Okay, let's hope I have better luck this week than I did with the video that I made about Queen Elizabeth. I need to give you some important updates. Prince Andrew is doing a lot better since we made an Elizabeth automaton. It's a young-looking Elizabeth, and she is with an automaton of my ancestor Fujiwara Yasuhira, who was the last ruler of the Oshu Fujiwara family. Last I heard is they're on their honeymoon, and he has a big penis, and she has a large supple vagina. This is what she likes. So, yeah, Andrew's doing a lot better since we made the automaton. Now I need to go on to another subject, and I'll have like a picture of that next to this video. I made a video about a week ago about getting meditation enlightenment. It has been demonic enlightenment. Yes. The combination of being a Christian and a Buddhist is a tricky combo. Okay? When a Buddhist meditates, they're usually not thinking about Jesus or Father God. So they're just focused on being present and being thankful, and they're not trying to get messages. Buddha told me that I need to be careful about getting messages during meditation. And I have discovered that the messages that I thought I was getting, that I thought was just enlightenment, was coming from, I believe it was coming from Baphomet. Yeah. You might say, they don't like what I'm talking about, making me cough. When Buddha warned me to be careful about messages I get from meditation, I thought, oh, they don't like what I'm talking about here. I decided to get my old book, War on the Saints, and start reading it. And when I did, it was a real eye-opener. I had the 1912 version. Okay? Yes, I've been getting enlightenment, all right, from a demon, probably Baphomet. That doesn't mean that what you're being told is not true, by the way. One of the ways Satan tricks us is he tells you 99% truth and 1% lie to get you to believe the 1% lie. For instance, in enlightenment, I saw like a vision in my mind of Baphomet ejaculating on my kitchen counter. He pulled up my dishes in my dish rack and ejaculated, and that explains why the counter had a yellow tinge to it. When I first moved here, it was pristine white. And my husband Brent went over there and took a sample of some of the semen that was there, and it was goat semen. Baphomet is a he, she, it, fallen angel demon, and he looks like a goat. He's got breasts and a penis. He's kind of like a blend. So yes, he ejaculated. So I was having meditation. So all the caressing feelings and all that was coming from Baphomet. I have concluded it's not safe for me to meditate from my window. The reason for that is because I get a beautiful view of the mountains from my window, and it makes me feel like I'm communing with God. So it's really hard for me to meditate from the window without thinking that God is communicating with me. So the way I'm going to be doing my Buddhist meditation is the way that Buddha recommended. He said, go to a park outside and just observe everything around you. He said, don't think about the past, don't think about the future, just focus on staying present and thankful. And he also recommended like going to a tea house or a coffee house, so that's good. The way I was doing it, the problem for me with me trying to combine Christianity and Buddhism is kind of dangerous with meditation. Because I still believe in Jesus, and I believe in God the Father. A lot of Buddhists don't even think about deities when they meditate. And that's probably a lot safer. And that may be the reason why Buddha won't allow us to post a picture of him. Because he doesn't want his followers to start to go into meditation and get focused on himself. He wants them focused on the meditation and not on getting messages. And another mistake that I made is that, I presumed, since I'm not from a Buddhist background, that I could learn more about Buddhism by going to various websites and reading up on other people's experience with Buddhism. That's a little dangerous, simply because some of these other people that are practicing Buddhism may be intermingling it with some demonic practices. I think my safest bet is to do it the way Buddha recommends. He just said, go outside to a park, focus on being present, don't think about the past, don't think about the future. But when Buddha told me that I needed to be careful about getting messages from meditation, I realized that the one who told me about Baphomet ejaculating on my counter, that wasn't enlightenment that I got from Jesus being part of the universe. See, these devils are very clever, these demons. They'll take something that's true and put in a 1% lie in there so you'll accept their lie. So, because the last time Buddha met with us, he told me that that Jesus has no need for an emotional connection with me or anyone because he is the universe itself. So what the demons did is they planted this idea in my head, oh, since Jesus is the universe himself, that means when you open your window and you look outside, you're meditating with Jesus. That is a little dangerous way to think, to approach meditation, I've learned. Unfortunately, because when I look outside, and I see the mountains and I see the beauty, I think of it being Jesus. You might say, well, how do we approach meditation? Just be present, thankful, don't think about the past, don't think about the future, and just get present. You say, well, what about Jesus being the universe itself? We can't associate that with meditation. You've got to be really careful with that. Here's why you got to be careful. Yes, Jesus is the universe himself. But that doesn't mean that when you meditate and you're connecting with everything around you that you're necessarily connecting with Jesus. You could be connecting with a demon. Yes, Jesus is the universe himself, but he said he would not be communicating with us or said giving us messages. And there are demons that are flying around in the atmosphere. And if you try to connect with like a voice or a vision or something that you're getting in meditation, more than likely you're going to be connecting with a demon. So the best thing to do when you're meditating is just focus on being present. Don't think about any entities. Don't think about any deities. Just focus on being present, being thankful. Yeah. Now that I get away from the negative, I'm going to go on to something really positive. By the way, my car, I got like a vision in my mind that Baphomet put all the semen in my car. That was correct. Which brings me on to another subject. Just because an evil spirit tells you the truth when they're sending you a message doesn't mean that it's not going to be harmful if you believe it. Let me just tell you why. When Buddha told me to be careful about messages I get during meditation, and then when Jesus himself, when he was with us, told us he wanted us to stop watching fake news, I know why now. I decided Buddha wouldn't say that unless he had good reason. And then I remembered, the reason I decided to do meditation is because I was tired of being tricked. And I remember when Baphomet was tricking me all the time, because I would go read my Bible and I would read passages, and I think like in Isaiah, and Baphomet would get me to interpret it wrong and make me to think that the Feast of Booths was referring to me and Brent getting special honors while Jesus was in his trial of Job. And I was scared to read the Bible, after that experience. And then Brent told me that Baphomet put a spell on all the pages of my Bible. I think it's safe to read the Bible now because Jesus is out of his coma. He's up in heaven, and so he's probably going to make it. I think now Baphomet cannot put a spell on the Bible. However, see, I've been trying to find the right balance in my life between being a Christian and the fact that Jesus has appointed Buddha, his best God friend, as his God representative on earth, and my husband Brent also as his God representative on earth. And he trusts both of them to have the judgment that he would if he was here. So, I've been trying to find the right balance between Buddhism and Christianity for that reason. There's a lot I respect, and Buddha's great. He's a good deity. He saved Jesus' life. I think if you come from a Christian background and you don't want to renounce your Christianity and become 100% Buddhist, your best bet for Buddhism is to do like I do. Find a way to meditate where your mind does not consider it a way of communicating with any entity. If you have to go to a park and just focus on the surroundings around you, or go to a tea house, fine. Just don't be very careful about any messages you get in meditation. And devils like to get you to focus on the future or the past. Now I'm going to go on to something else. So how do we blend Christianity and Buddhism, and what direction is Christianity going in now that the Bible prophecies have been canceled? I'm starting to get some clarity on this. First of all, I decided to re-examine my war on the saints. I have, let me go get my book here. This is a book that I bought in 2002. I actually bought this book when I was a King James Bible only person. It was published in 1912. I consider this the definitive book on demons. Definitive. Personal opinion, I think Christians today are kind of dumb about demons. And that's because we watch too much television news, too much fake news. And let me tell you why that is. And I'm including myself in that. If I had not I bought this book in 2002, and I had the abridged version that I bought in 1992, which I actually typed. No, I think I had that one too. But I had a version in 1992 that I actually typed out to Brent and sent to him at his fan mail at Paramount. Because after September 1992, I could tell something was seriously wrong with him. That he was having demon problems. I was right, because that's when Laurie McBride, that's when she drug raped him and got into his life. But one thing that I did right was to be very interested in this book, I think. Basically, the book talks about the conditions you need to have in your mind and in your soul and in your spirit that make it easy for demons to possess you or influence you and cause you to cause them to do partial or total takeovers of your brain. And I believe that when I started meditating and started believing some of the enlightenment that I was getting, I was enabling, probably it was Baphomet, to do a partial takeover of my brain. So as a result of reading this book, I've prayed to Jesus and I said, I renounce every lie that I believe that demon put into my mind while I was getting enlightenment by my window while I was meditating. What I would recommend you do is, Christians, when you meditate, you are in special danger, and let me tell you why. It's because we know Jesus is real, okay? And we kind of confuse meditation with prayer. I know that's what I do. And so we're going to have a tendency, when we're a Christian and we meditate, to see it as a form of prayer. And then we're going to think Jesus might be speaking to us while we're meditating, and that's where we're going to get into trouble. So if you're a Christian and you meditate, I would recommend, and I think meditation's a good thing to do, and it is a way to chase away demons if you will focus on being present and don't care at all about getting messages or letting your mind go into the future or the past. It will chase away demons. But that's what I thought I was doing when I meditated, but I got such an overpowering feeling that I was being enlightened, and it was like I couldn't resist it. So I have concluded it's not safe for me to meditate from my window. Yeah. I believe that if you're a Christian and you meditate, you should be reading this book. It'll give you a lot of insight. But what I've done is I have an audio recording of the book at my website, and I've also created a PDF, EPUB, and MOBI file of the 1912 book, also at my website. So you can get it at my website free. It was a lot of work making that ebook. It's not perfectly formatted, but it is readable. Okay, that's the main thing. Meditating is a good thing to do, but you need to do it like the way I suggest. And the video that I made previously where I talked about getting enlightenment, yes, that was enlightenment, all right, demonic enlightenment. You have to be really careful whenever you give, they call it giving ground to an evil spirit. You see, whenever you accept something from an evil spirit into your brain, you give them ground. That means you give them power over your life. It's kind of like they're knocking at the door and they're putting thoughts into your brain. This book talks about it. And it's up to you whether you open the door and let them in. And that's what I did. When I was in meditation by the window and getting enlightenment, I basically opened the door and let the demon into my brain, because I accepted their enlightenment. I believed it. And if you do that over a long period of time, you can become demon possessed. So it can be a pretty bad situation. Yeah. I think that's part of the reason. One thing that I've done that I think that I've gotten in a bad habit of doing is allowing myself to get into a passive mental condition. And they talk about this in War on the Saints, where you don't use your full brain and you let other people think for you. I'm probably this way because when I was growing up, my mother always told me that everything I did was evil, so I didn't trust myself, and I felt like other people that were superior to me should make decisions for me. So I got in the bad habit of being passive with my mind. And unfortunately, what has resulted of that is I developed a spiritual condition called passivity. They talk about it here in War on the Saints. And it's basically an open invitation for demons to take over your mind. It doesn't mean that I'm demon possessed, but very prone to demon influence. And Brent is less likely to do that, which is why he's better as president and why he is better at as Jesus' God representative on earth. Yeah, he has more spiritual discernment than I do. But, you know, I've learned that I can't let him do all my thinking for me. I mean, 24 hours through the day, I have to make decisions. He can't be there all the time. So I've been trying to develop my own spiritual discernment and trying to get my brain stronger against Baphomet. And I thought meditation would help. It is helpful if I do it right, as long as I don't get any messages, but I need to combine that with War on the Saints, and that's what I would recommend for everyone else as well. If you come from a Christian background and you meditate, you're probably going to make the same mistake I did. You're going to think Jesus is there talking to you. And it won't be Jesus, it'll be a demon. If you're sure you can meditate without thinking about Jesus, then I guess you don't need to read War on the Saints. But for a Christian, when they're meditating, they're always thinking about Jesus. So it's kind of like, I would highly recommend that if you're a Christian and you also want to practice meditation like I do, that I would say reading War on the Saints is mandatory. It is the definitive book in my opinion, on demonology. As far as the Bible, I kind of got out of reading the Bible because I got paranoid about it because of Baphomet. But I think it's not a bad idea to read it now, as long as you remember that the Bible prophecies have all been canceled. But there's a lot of valuable history in there, like all the stuff they teach you about the nature of demons and how they operate, which this book uses a lot of scripture. That's fine. In fact, that's very useful. So yeah, you can still read the Bible. Just be aware that the prophecies are canceled. Okay, but there's valuable history in there. Anyways, I encourage everyone to go to my website, check out the audio link to this book. Also, there's a free PDF, EPUB, and MOBI file of the 1912 version. I consider the 1912 version the best version of War on the Saints. They have abridged it for various reasons. Some people feel like Christians can't be demon-possessed. I think a Christian can, but I don't think you should be too obsessed over it. If you read this book, you'll understand the right perspective on that. And you can get it at my website for free, audio or in written form as an ebook. And you can also order it. I also have links where you can order it from various sources. Yeah, I got this book from Dr. Peter Ruckman's Bible Baptist bookstore when I was a King James Bible only person, which I am no longer because Jesus got me out of that. However, Ruckman was smart about the demons, though. I'll say that much for him. Yeah. So, yeah. I have to make this corrected video because if I kept on doing what I was doing and meditating by that window and getting enlightenment, I predict that within 6 months I probably would have been demon possessed. Yeah. That would have been really bad. Yeah. So, yeah, I just said this prayer to Jesus. I said, Jesus, I renounce all that Satan stands for. Any lies he's put to my head, I renounce it. I am on your side. I'm not on Satan's side, and just help me to not give him any ground. Here's another thing that I'm doing because I have a tendency to be passive. I actually got this from War on the Saints on what to do if you have this problem. Act as far as you can, doing what you can. See ya. 2, take the initiative instead of passively depending on others. 3, decide for yourself and everything you can. Do not lean on others. 4, live in the moment. Now this is very interesting because that's a meditation principle. This is why meditation helps repel demons. Live in the moment, watch and pray step by step. Another good thing that meditation does is it helps you to concentrate and use your mind better. 5, use your mind and think. Think over all you do and say and are. So that's what I've been focused on doing. That's what they recommend if they say if you have a problem with passivity. I think that's part of the reason why Baphomet was able to trick me so easily when Jesus was in a coma. Because I've gotten into the habit of passivity in my mental thinking, where I let others think for me. Yeah, this book talks about it. So There are other, it's really, let me tell you why. My personal opinion on this book, I think every Christian should read that book, especially now because the devils are so active. They're really mad that they didn't kill Jesus. Yeah, that Brent and Buddha saved his life. I think every Christian should read that book. I would say it is the next most important book in a Christian's library after the Bible. You say, what about your Bible for Tribulation Saints? That's important too, because there's a lot of important history in there. But you can get the same stuff from, if you keep up with me at my YouTube channel or go to my website. So, you know, yeah. Now, my writing project right now, Gail, the complete series, that will also be very important when that gets out too, because you can learn some of the valuable lessons that I've learned in my life. Yeah, you can get that free at my website. I'm going to have a link underneath this video. I think every Christian should read that book. If you're really busy, I have audio links underneath the video. I mean, at my website. I did a lot of work to get the book up for you guys. Yeah, because that's how important I think it is. The 1912 book, let me tell you why I think that's the one you should get. They've kind of watered it down because there are some Christians that don't believe it's possible for a Christian to be demon possessed. So they've kind of watered it down because the 1912 version has verified that they have met Christians who were demon possessed. I think the 1912 version is superior. And I think it is possible for Christians to be demon possessed too. I already told you I'm a Christian. If I kept meditating out that window and accepting all that enlightenment, I probably would have been demon possessed within 6 months. Fortunately, Buddha warned me, and my suspicious antennas went up, and I decided to read this book, and I think I'm going back on a good path. So let me tell you why I think the 1912 version is better. One thing that I learned from reading more on the saints, did you know that every time a lying spirit or a demon suggests a thought to your mind, and by the way, everything that you think is your own thoughts, some of those thoughts have been planted in your mind by demons. And when you buy into it or believe it, you have just given them ground in your mind. It's kind of like their tentacles are getting into your mind and they're saying, we got a foothold here. Let me tell you the reason why I think the 1912 version is better than today. A big problem that we have today that they didn't have back in 1912 is we got the television set. We got the internet. It is so easy for us to believe the lies coming from lying spirits. Fake news is rampant. Do you know that every time you hear something that is a lie, you tell yourself, if I hear a lie, it won't hurt me. It will hurt you if you believe it and if the source is a lying spirit. Because let me tell you what happens. If the source of the lie is a lying spirit, like let's say the newscaster is demon possessed, and there's some of them I think they are, yeah, and you believe what you just heard, and it's like you open the door to the demon, they put their tentacles in your mind, and they're going to get right into your brain. See, the problem that we have now that they didn't have back in 1912 is we've got the television set, and we got the internet, and we got radio and all this stuff, and we are being bombarded 24/7 with lies all the time. It is so hard not to be affected by it. In fact, it's almost impossible. In fact, as a result of reading this book, I have concluded that I am not going to watch news anymore. Yep. I think that's part of the reason that I fell for so many of Baphomet's tricks. I gave them so much ground from all the lies that I absorbed. And that was part of the reason I made the decision to become the monarch. That was based on lies. Yeah, because I believed the lie, all sorts of lies. Every disastrous decision that I've made in the past 6 months has been based on a lie that I believed. That was planted in my mind by a demon where I gave them ground. And see, the problem is when you give a demon ground in your brain, they literally start taking over your brain. And each lie that you believe is more ground you give them. So if you're a big television news watcher and you think it's harmless, right? You think it's harmless? But let's say you believe a whole bunch of lies, they might have half your brain. You know what that means? That means half your brain is literally shut off. It's not working, it's blocked. So you could have an IQ of 10,000 like I almost do, but if it's blocked, what good is it going to do you, right? And this is how Satan thinks he's going to win. Oh, she's got a high IQ, but if I can get our demon oppressed, we can block her brain so that only half of it's working right. You see what I'm saying? This is how they get people with high IQs. It's almost like they can induce a form of insanity in you. See, back in 1912, they were exposed to lies back then too, but not to the extent that people are today. So there is very little spiritual discernment in the world today. I don't think a Christian today is capable of writing a definitive work on demonology for that reason. So we got to go back to a time when their brains weren't so contaminated. That's why the 1912 version is the best. And you can get it at my website. It's a real eye-opener. It's really made me aware of a lot of the ways in which the demons have been working in my life. I've been guilty of passivity and watching too much fake news. The problem is, if you believe a lie, if you don't, the only way you can dislodge the lie or the ground from your mind is it has truth. Truth has got to go in there. In other words, the best way to dislodge a lie is with the truth. But my men will not allow me to watch Gabriel Fox News. It's to protect me for some reason. So because all I'm doing is getting the negative with no positive, it's almost deadly for me to watch fake news. The problem is, though, is even though I stopped watching fake news, when they plastered that notice on my apartment door that made it appear like, but I was still going to alternative news sources, like Gab News, even that is deadly, because there's a lot of lies there too. The only accurate news source is Gabriel Fox News. Everything else is lies. Any lie you believe, even if it comes from what you believe is a good source, if it was the result of somebody influenced by a demon, you have just given a demon entrance to your mind. And believe me, it will affect your judgment. You got to read this book. They explain it a lot better than I'm doing here. And it's kind of complicated. It's hard to explain. That book is a real eye-opener. I read that book and I thought, oh my God. I thought, my God, that meditation enlightenment was all I was doing was opening my mind to demons. You say, well, how could you read the book in 1992? Yeah, but I forgot a lot of what was in there. That was like 1992, you know. I hadn't really read it in detail since then. Yeah. So anyways, I've been listening to the book with my audio recordings at my website, and you guys, everybody, stop watching the fake news. It's doing a lot of harm. Jesus himself said we should stop watching it. Just put them out of business. They don't deserve to be in business anyway. They're all working for a bunch of devils. Don't watch it anymore. Don't only watch Gabriel Chan of Fox News. If you watch anything else, all you're doing is opening your door for demon possession. I'm serious, man. I'm serious. Read this book. If you want to have a sound mind and you don't want your brain taken over by devils, stop watching the news. I'm serious. I'm not. I almost got scammed. You see, I gave the demons so much ground that when I went to my email and saw a notice that it was possible I had 600 withdrawn from my PayPal, it was like a spell came over me, because I had given them so much ground in the past, probably from all the fake news and all the lies that I believed where I admitted them to my brain, that it took me 3 hours on the phone with the scammer before I realized I was being scammed. By that time, I had given him all my information. Personal opinion, I don't think any of this would have happened if I had never been watching fake news. I gave the demons so much ground that basically I was almost like a quarter possessed. Yeah, when you're possessed, you've got another personality living in you. And it'll literally take over and cause you to do things that go against your nature, which may explain why I've been kind of like made some pretty disastrous decisions as president lately. Yeah. So right now I'm working on getting back my own self. You say, well, you should be, no. I don't want to be president. I want to focus on writing Gail the Complete series. And I'm going to be spending a lot of time on that. That's a full-time project. But right now my focus is on making sure that I am kicking out all the demons in my brain. Yeah. They're really obsessed with me ever since Jesus became my roommate, even though he's not here anymore. So, yeah, I don't think I'm the only one who's got this problem. I mean, I'm Jesus Christ's favorite human, and I'm having trouble with them. Can I imagine? Come on, you guys. Everybody, if you're a Christian, read that book. Unless you want your brain taken over by the devils. Yeah. It's at my website. I went to the trouble to give you all a free EPUB, Mobi, and PDF file. And it's also in audio form. I just don't want the devils to win. They don't deserve to win. They're evil. Jesus needs to win. So go check out my website. The 1912 version is best. That's the one I have at my website. It's very enlightening, very sobering. Yeah, back then, I think back in 1912, Christians had a lot more spiritual discernment than today, simply because they weren't being bombarded with lies from television and radio and internet. You think all those lies don't affect you, but if you believe any of them, you've just given a demon ground in your brain. And you can't always control what you believe. Just don't watch it. Put the news media out of business. Don't watch it. Why do you want to stuff the bank accounts of a bunch of devils, huh? You say, are you saying all the news media people are devils? I'm not saying they're a bunch of devils. But they might all be like myself. They might have good hearts, and they just might be demon possessed or something. You know, one of the problems we have today is that we are so focused on mental illness and psychiatric that when a person acts crazy, we just automatically assume they're mentally ill, and we've totally discounted the possibility that maybe the reason some people act crazy is because they're demon possessed. Psychiatry needs to fix that error. Yeah, they do. Because if the person's problem is demon possession rather than mental illness, You're not going to fix their quote-unquote mental illness by treating them for mental illness when their problem is demon possession. You say, well, what are you going to do? Go back to burning of witches? No, that's not good either. There is legitimate mental illness. And they talk about that here. People can be legitimately and mentally ill. But people can also be legitimately demon possessed. And the fact that people are ignorant of the condition of demon possession and act like it doesn't exist makes it easier for everybody to get demon possessed. You need to be aware of what it is, the conditions in your mind that make it easy for it to happen, and how to overcome it if you have it. If you are demon possessed, you might need an exorcist, but especially for Christians that are demon possessed, exorcism may not totally work. You also have to deal with what gave the demon ground in the first place, your thought patterns, maybe your passivity, and you need to change some habits. And this book talks about how to do that. And you might need to get with an experienced Christian who's had a lot of experience dealing with devils. Unfortunately, today there aren't many Christians like that, because we've all been so inundated with television lies that personal opinion, I think at least half of Christendom is seriously demon influenced. Yeah, I really think so. I think every Christian on earth should read that book. Anyways, and I've made it easy for you to do that. Go check the post underneath this video. But I have to make this post because I've got to counter the damage that I made by that video where I talked about meditation enlightenment. Yeah, that's meditation demonic enlightenment. Yeah. Meditation is good if you do it right. If you do it wrong, you'd probably be better off not meditating at all. Yeah, seriously, man. So yeah, if you do it right, it's good. If you do it wrong, it's a disaster.